Hello everyone, I welcome everyone to this video. Today we are going to talk about right to equality, Article 14 to Article 18. So here we will study the important rules, laws, amendments, acts, okay, exceptions, etc., which are only important for combined 3. Okay, so let's get started. First, Article 14, Article 12. Article 12. Article 12 says, basically it defines state from the perspective of fundamental rights for the purpose of Part 3 of our Constitution. Okay, so now understand what is Article 12. Article 12 is nothing but the definition of state. In the whole polity, in law of eternity, people use the state, the word state, but the meaning of state is very wide. Okay, so what actually includes in the definition of state, it talks about Article 12. For example, what are the things that covers under, that comes under state? Okay, see, state. Okay, under state it comes Government of India, Parliament, executive and legislative organs of union government, then local authorities, maybe municipality, panchayat, etc. Okay, then other statutory or non statutory bodies. Okay, for example, ONGC, LIC, basically public sector enterprises, GAIL, SAIL, etc. Now understand, in the definition of state, state will comprise everything: Government of India, Parliament, executive and legislative organs of the union government, local authorities like municipalities, panchayats, okay, then other statutory bodies or non-statutory bodies, for example ONGC, LIC, PSC, public sector enterprises, etc. Now tell me one thing, suppose a contractor who gets a tender to construct a particular road, so that contractor will come under the definition of state or not? Another example, suppose in railway, the railway food catering gets the food catering tender gets done by the third party vendors, so that third party vendor will come under the definition of state or not? Or court, for example, court will come under the definition of state or not, because court basically performs the judicial court basically performs the two role here. Okay, so let me tell you, contractor, for example, contractor, The contractor who construct the road, the construction of road is financed by the any particular government, and the government earns money from its citizens. Citizen pay tax to the government, and government by the citizens taxpayers money they are constructing the road. So ultimately that tender, the contractor that who got the tender, he also comes under the purview of definition of state. In the same way that railway vendor also comes under the definition of state. And in case of court, understand one thing. In case of court, court when court while performing their non-judicial functions, it comes under the definition of state. For example, recruitment of its own staff. Okay, so in that case court also comes under the definition of state. Is it clear? So let's move forward. Okay, one more thing. Suppose there are some words like country. You have heard about it. Country, state, nation. There are three different words. Can anyone tell me what is the meaning of exact words, these words? Okay, let me break it for you. Country and state are synonyms. Okay, synonyms. Both apply to self-governing political entities. Okay, political entities. So basically country and state are same, but nation, what is the meaning of nation? Nation is a bit different. How? Nation is a group of people, who share the same culture, but here but is important, but do not have sovereignty. Now what do you mean by do not have sovereignty? Do not have sovereignty means they don't have their own rule. Okay, they cannot do according to them, but they share a different cultural identity. For example, Kurdish people in Iraq, Kurdish population in Iraq is a nation without a state. Okay, is a nation without a state, means they share a particular culture, but they don't have the sovereignty. Okay, in the other hand, countries like France, Japan, UK, USA, they are both nation and state. Now it is clear to everyone? So always remember, Article 12 basically tells about the definition of state. Okay, what are the different things, different bodies which will come under the definition of state. Okay, According to Supreme Court, even a private organization working as an instrument of state also comes under the scope of state, okay, under the Article 12. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. Now we'll go move forward to Article 13. Article 13. So this, what is this article? Article 13 is, it declares that all laws that are inconsistent with any of the fundamental rights shall be void. Okay, what does it mean? It means Article 13 says that any of the law or act, anything, okay, which will violate the fundamental rights of the citizen, that law or act would directly be shall be void. Okay, this act is also known as soul of the constitution. Okay, in the exam, if they ask what is the soul of constitution, you will write preamble. Okay, preamble is the soul of constitution. Okay, soul of constitution. If they ask which article is soul of constitution, that time you will write Article 13. Understood? Okay. There are different doctrines. Okay, doctrines. You don't have to read these doctrines, okay, they will not come in combined examination, but with the help of these doctrines only, doctrine of eclipse, severability, Weber, prospective overruling, with the help of this doctrine, that Supreme Court takes so many decision, okay, and all the doctrines comes under the Article 13. Okay, so that's it for 13. It basically declares that any laws that are inconsistent with any of the fundamental rights shall be void. That's it. Next, Article 14. What does Article 14 says? Okay, Article 14 is equality before law. Okay, now you need to understand one thing. Why do we need a right to equality? Why? In the first place, why do we need that right to equality? To understand this, we have to go to in history. In Indian society, for a long period of time, it is characterized by various identities which only resulted in discrimination of people. Okay, now to establish a egalitarian society, it is possible only when the state can ensure equality before law for all citizens. Okay, so basically to provide, to bring a egalitarian society, this right to equality and these fundamental rights, everything comes to act. Okay, now there is a concept of rule of law. Okay, we need to understand that. What is rule of law? In rule of law, there are three laws. Okay, You don't have to read these laws, but you need to know who gave this rule of law. A. B. Dicey. Okay. Rule of law given by A. B. Dicey. That's it. Okay. 3 laws. Okay. One more thing. Article 14. That is. Okay. Source. Understand. In India, the source for equality before law is rule of law is constitution. Okay, from constitution we get this fundamental right. Okay, but in UK, United Kingdom, fundamental rights are the source of constitution. Okay, so that's it. Now there are two exceptions you need to understand. This is important. Okay, what is exception here? Exception is for implementing certain DPSPs for implementing certain DPSPs, government or law implementing agencies or the executives can make some exceptions. Okay, also there is another exception, that is immunity to president, governor, MPs, MLAs, foreign diplomats. Okay, so these two are the exceptions of equality before law. Okay, now we will move forward to Article 15. What does Article 15 says? Article 15 is nothing but prohibition of discrimination on the ground religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Okay, see these 5 things. Okay, these 5 things cannot be the reason of discrimination. Okay, so here it prohibits. So how does it work? This Article 15, this prohibition of discrimination on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Okay, so now it prohibits the states, okay, to make any rules, regulation, or anything, or any job preference, etc., on the ground of this 5 thing. It also prevents private citizens to make any discrimination against anyone in regarding this 5 category. Okay, now there are also some exceptions. Okay, what are those exceptions? Exceptions are state can make special provision for women and children. In that case, this discrimination can be made. Okay, also for SC, STs, also for socially and economically backward classes of citizen. Okay, and another economically weaker section. Okay, so in this condition, the government or the executives can make the discrimination. Okay, these are called positive discrimination. Okay, so see here, in previous year question I have seen there was question related to EWS. So EWS was EWS comes under article 15(6). Okay, and it was enacted by 103 Constitutional Amendment Act in 2019. In the previous year question they have asked about which constitutional amendment passed this EWS Act. Okay, now this time you should also remember the implementing date. Implementing date is January 14, 2019. Okay, now here one more thing, in EWS category type of reservation, this EWS category reservation will get those who already are not in any kind of reservation. For example, SCs, STs or OBCs. Okay, they are excluded from EWS. Next, another one is OBC. Okay, in OBC, the OBC this reservation or this discrimination, this positive discrimination was enacted by 93rd Constitutional Amendment Act. You should also remember this 93rd. Okay, and in this case Supreme Court upheld the validity of amendment and directed exclusion of creamy layers among OBCs. Nowadays you will see in OBC there are two sections. Okay, creamy layer and a non-creamy layer. So after this act, there was case in Supreme Court, and that case judgment, Supreme Court gave the verdict that it is that the validity that Supreme Court upheld the validity of amendment. Okay, and also directed the exclusion of the creamy layers. Okay, so that's all for Article 15. Now we will move forward to Article 16. What is Article 16 says? Okay, Article 16 is equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. So in this case, okay, in case of Article 16, equality of opportunities in public employment, what does it do actually? It provides for equality of opportunity for citizen in matter of employment to any office under the state, and I already discussed the definition of state. Okay, no citizen can be discriminated against on ground of only religion, caste, sex, descent, place of birth or residence. Okay, so no citizen can be discriminated on the ground. Okay, what are the grounds? Only religion, caste, sex, descent, place of birth or residence. Okay, in this ground you cannot discriminate anyone in getting opportunity in employment. Okay, now in this case also there are some exceptions. There are mainly 4 exceptions, but you don't have to remember this 4. You should only remember only 2. Okay, number 1, parliament can prescribe, parliament can prescribe residence as a condition. Okay, in the article it is said that on the ground of residence you cannot you cannot make any discrimination in the ground of employment. Okay, but there is exception that parliament can prescribe residence as a condition for employment in a state or UTs or any local authorities. Okay, or any other authority. First exception. Second exception is, okay, now they are understand. At present only it is applicable to, this exception is only applicable to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, because they are very new state, and to cope up with the situation and to get the and their state and their capital or their resources are very less. Already it is been divided into 2 states, so just to cope up with the situation they have given, the parliament has given these rights to them. Okay, next is, state is permitted to make provisions for a reservation of up to 10%. Okay, now states can make reservation up to 10% of appointments to economically weaker section of the society. So EWS, that laws, okay, that laws comes here, the 10% the state can give 10% reservation to the economically weaker section. Now understand, if we summarize the thing, article 16, what does it say? It says there should be equality of opportunity in matter of public employment. Okay, there should be equality in public employment. Okay, you cannot discriminate anyone only in religion, caste, sex, descent, place of birth or residence. Okay, this is the article says, but there are exceptions. Exceptions is, parliament can prescribe, okay, residence is a condition for the employment. So in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, parliament has prescribed them. Okay, also EWS, okay, economically weaker section, in EWS 10% reservation can be given to the economically weaker section of the citizens, okay, in public employment opportunities, etc. That's it. This is for article 16. Okay, now we will, acha, this is required for our exam, nothing more, but there is a thing to discuss. Okay, this will not come in exam, but you should know. Okay, reservation in promotion, there is a thing called reservation in promotion. Reservation in promotion. Supreme Court in Indira Sahani case ruled that the reservation policy cannot be extended to promotion. Okay, so Supreme Court in Indira Sahani case ruled that reservation cannot be given to the in the promotion case. Okay, Then Parliament has enacted the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, okay, to provide reservation in promotion to SCs and STs. Okay. Now, in 2001, in 2001, 85th Constitutional Amendment Act was passed to introduce promotion with consequential seniority. Okay, so this was for the reservation in promotion. Just to know you, just to let you know. Now, next is Article 17. What does Article 17 says? Article 17 is abolition of untouchability. Abolition of untouchability. Understand, for more than 5,000 years, the Indian society has witnessed the practice of untouchability. Okay, many lower caste people were not allowed to become part of mainstream life. Okay, because of their birth. Okay, so basically, Article 17 abolishes the untouchability and empower the parliament to make laws. Remember, against untouchability only parliament can make laws. Okay, in this according in this in accordance to this law, this Article 17, parliament has made two acts. What are those? Number one is protection of Civil Rights Act 1955. Another one is SC and Scheduled Caste and Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act 1989. Okay, so in accordance to Article 17, the Parliament has enacted two laws. Okay, two acts. What are those? Protection of Civil Rights Act and Scheduled Caste and Tribes Prevention of Atrocities Act. Now, untouchability. Understand one thing. Untouchability is a cognizable offense. Okay, cognizable offense. What does cognizable offense means? Cognizable offense means arrest without warrant. For example, breaking signal in the roads. Okay, it is not a cognizable offense. Okay, so police cannot arrest you. Okay, without warrant. Okay, but untouchability, cases like untouchability, rape is a cognizable offense. Okay, in this case, police can arrest you without warrant. Okay, another fact, this word untouchability is not mentioned in constitution. Okay, so if they ask in the examination, is the word untouchability is mentioned in the constitution or not, so it is not mentioned in the constitution. Okay, let's go. Next is Article 18. Article 18 is abolition of all titles. Okay, now understand one thing. It basically prohibits the states from conferring any title except military, except military or academic. Okay, now in the first place you should know why this is even an article. During British rule, Britishers deliberately created differences between people in the form of subjects and masters. They conferred titles to zamindars, okay, Com- uh, titles like zamindars, and the kings like Maharaja, Rai Bahadur, Diwan, Raj Bahadur, etc. So, right to equality demands that people should not be discriminated in any form. So, that is why this abolition of titles. So, in the Article 18, abolition of all title, it prohibits the states from conferring any title except military and academic. Okay, next. It prohibits Indian citizens from acquiring any title from any other country also. So basically, you cannot accept any title from any other country who is a citizen of India, and also in India, anyone cannot give you a title. Okay, now, so this was for right to equality part. In the next class, we will read about right to right to freedom, okay, right against exploitation. Okay, these two will cover in the next class, and also I will tell you some mnemonics to remember all the fundamental rights. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Thank you everyone.